Welcome to Animorphs Anonymous, the podcast where we casually discuss the Animorphs one book at a time.
I'm Kaycie.
And I'm Alex.
And we're here to talk you through the plot of each book.
But more accurately, take you on tangent trips, factoid forays, and say, well, actually, as much as possible.
Join us on the 1st and the 15th of each month, and we'll take you along on our mission.
And we promise to have you back under the 2-hour time limit.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a grave announcement to make. Incredible as it may seem, both the observations of science and the evidence of our eyes lead to the inescapable assumption that those strange beings who landed in the Jersey farmlands tonight are the vanguard of an invading army.
And we're back.
And we're back for episode 4. Welcome to Animorphs Anonymous, episode 4. How's that for an intro?
That was a great song.
Thank you. I made it up just now as I was singing it.
It was awesome. It's permanent. It's canon now.
It's permanent. It's canon. It's added. It's added. We'll put this on our wiki page that we're making for ourselves.
Perfect.
Do you know what this episode is?
It's a Cassie book?
It's our Valentine's Day episode!
Is it really?
It is!
Oh, good!
Which means that I am going to be talking to you about my love for Cassie this book.
Awesome.
Which means I'm going to try really hard to have love for Cassie this book.
Oh my god! Yeah, I was very misled there. I'm like, what? What are your feelings
You're
about
like,
Cassie?
Oh, I didn't know that you loved Cassie. Well, you know what? For Valentine's Day, I love Cassie.
There you go.
But it's only for Valentine's Day.
The one day of the year.
The one day of the year you're allowed to love Cassie.
Oh boy.
Valentine's Day.
Boy.
Oh.
So yeah.
Oh man. Here we are. Man. I'm already thinking of new battle morphs.
Oh
Thought
yeah,
of any
yeah.
battle morphs?
That's another reoccurring segment that we seem to have at the beginning of every episode.
What are this week's battle morphs?
What are this week's battle morphs? I don't know if I have any new ones off the top of my head.
I thought of one.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought of it because, as we know, the best offense is a good defense. We could also say the best defense is a good offense. But this is the other one. This is where the defense is better than the offense. And that is a porcupine.
Ooh.
It would be pretty sweet.
I
And also, when you were done with it, you could stick your butt into a foam board, take all your quills out, demorph, and make Native American style porcupine quill baskets and sell them for a lot of money.
holy. Do you know how to make those?
I could learn if I could morph a porcupine, but I've never been able to morph a porcupine, so I haven't bothered.
You haven't been able to acquire enough porcupine quills in which to embark on this endeavor?
No, I don't have a porcupine, so I haven't ever been able to collect enough.
They regrow quills, right?
Mm-hmm,
Okay.
they do.
It's like a renewable resource for them.
Yeah,
Cool.
exactly. Plus, they like stabbing them.
I just think of Homeward Bound every time I think of a porcupine.
Yeah?
Yeah. Have you seen Homeward Bound? With the dogs?
Like, once, like a million years ago.
Oh. One of the dogs is like, hey, look, a porcupine, I'm gonna go sniff it, and then he gets a face full of quills, and it's really sad and tragic.
Oh, no.
I know, it's real
Is he the big dog?
He's they're both big dogs, but he's like the puppy, the black and white, like, adventurous, curious puppy who gets into trouble because he's so curious.
Oh, he's the Homer of the group.
Sure.
Yeah, it makes sense in my head.
Oh boy.
Oh, man. Did you see the video of the husky that the lady tried to kiss and he grabbed her face and pushed it aside? Like, don't kiss me.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Oh, I had to send you that one.
Yeah, good. Because I feel like there's not a husky video that I haven't seen, so when I do find one I haven't seen, I get really upset that no one sent it to me.
Oh, no. I'll have to send it to you. Oh, which leads me to another morph. I would get a husky morph, and then we could just film like Vine videos all day that were really funny with our human intelligence, and we could get sponsors.
Hell yeah. We can make so much money.
We could make so much money.
Yeah, because, like, a bunch of people I know are doing, like, the whole, like, dog Instagram thing.
Oh,
and I'm just
I know.
like, you freaking monetizing on your dog or your cat. You know, I'm thinking about, like, Lil Bub and Grumpy Cat and
Lil Bub.
I love Lil Bub.
And the Pug Loaf account.
Yeah. and like the menswear dog and all them.
Menswear dog?
Yeah, it's a
What's
Shiba.
that?
It's a Shiba, and he wears men's clothing.
Oh
He just
no,
looks
like bow ties?
Like they kind of make it look like he's a human-shaped guy, but he's so like they stick the dog head through like jackets and shit. He looks very smart, but
is it like that Weimaraner
kinda
series?
yeah, like the Wegman
Okay.
Weimaraners, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that. But yeah,
Interesting.
the age of Instagram and our dog's place in it.
A dissertation
Yes.
on the Animorphs podcast. Oh man, that's okay. So not only would the Animorphs have so much trouble with like the technology today, like with video cameras and like monitoring systems and everything,
Mhm.
but like they could totally use that as like, look at this adorable dog, and get like sponsors on Instagram and stuff, because they could like use their human intelligence to make up adorable poses.
Yeah. Or do adorable things. Have you seen the guy with it's like the Japanese guy, and he's got a Shiba, and he like always goes to kiss it, and she always puts her paw up and like stops him.
Yes!
And then she like presses a button, and like a thing flips, and it blocks him from kissing her.
Oh no.
Oh man.
That's awesome.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, I love that so much.
Dogs are great.
So good. Dogs are great. Oh man. I love dogs.
But they're
Cats.
yes, I love cat.
I love all the animal.
All.
All.
There aren't any dogs and cats in this book though.
There are no dogs and cats in this book, except maybe like just in passing. That's not mentioned in the story, but like we know that like they walked past one on the street.
Yeah. And Rachel mentions a cat at some point. What was that?
That's true. What's what?
Oh, I thought I heard like a cricket noise. Just like one. That's not a joke, but it's like okay. I heard it again. That's
crickets. Is it from my basement? I'm in my creepy basement, and there's a lot of crickets and like those giant millipede cricket hunter things down here.
Ew.
I know, that has like a million legs. They're pretty cool.
Like a taxon?
Yeah. Oh my god, yes!
There are taxons in your basement.
I should send you a picture.
Oh my god.
If taxons were about 2 inches long and their legs were like really kind of longer than just little pincers, then 100% yes, this looks like a taxon.
Excellent.
Yeah, and then I have like those giant crickets that are like, again, several inches long and tall.
Great.
I know. So I was wondering if you heard one of my cricket friends.
I don't know what I'm hearing.
I don't know. Who can tell? Maybe it's the Yerks. They're trying to get into our podcast and take over.
Sounds about right. I feel like the Sharing would have a podcast if Animorphs were set in nowadays time.
I feel like the Sharing podcast would be like Night Vale.
Oh my god.
Like, welcome to our wonderful sharing group. All of our families. Except like it's the alternate Night Vale, you know, the guys that are really nice, but then it slowly like deteriorates because you can tell the government's taking over.
Sure.
They're like, welcome to our wonderful city. Everything is fantastic. The government has issued an order that they are to have a picnic today.
Oh my god.
You must all go to the picnic. It is mandatory.
Oh no.
I can just picture it
It's
now.
so sinister.
It's so sinister. It's like so nice that it turns into sinister. Like, we are going to have a beach day. We will play volleyball in the sand. All people report to the secret meeting. Oh man. That would be a fun podcast to do. Just like the Sharing weekly.
Yeah.
Another podcast idea. I'm just going to keep throwing these out every single time we record.
Perfect.
Another podcast idea. Sharing podcast, where it's just the weekly update newsletter from the Sharing.
I like it.
Perfect. We're doing it. Add that one to the books.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Let's talk about Animorphs Book 4, The Message.
The Message.
Message in a bottle. I'm just gonna sing spontaneously, because I'm sure the audience really wants to hear that.
Well, I mean, I sang that beautiful opening. It would be sad if we just let them down and didn't sing ever again in this podcast.
Perhaps. Someone's cup of tea, I'm sure.
I mean, if they really don't want us to, they'll have to review.
I guess.
And subscribe to make sure we never do it again.
Haha. We're on to you.
We've got you in a corner now. Speaking of having someone in a corner, book 4.
Oh my god.
A Cassie book.
It is a Cassie book.
Who we love. We love her. Happy Valentine's Day. We love you.
There's a lot of love in this book, to be fair. It's a lot of romantic hints.
There is. There's a lot of romantic hints. There's a lot of discussion about loving the earth, loving all of Mother Nature's creatures. Very hippy-dippy. So, I'll just keep going. So, this book opens with Cassie holding onto a squirrel. An adorable squirrel, I'm sure.
As you do.
As they all are. As you do. As one does at midnight. And she is giving him a chestnut and acquiring him because she's going to turn into a squirrel to go on a secret nighttime mission. She's going to find out who's been coming into her barn without an invitation. And eating the patients.
Yeah.
Because it can't ever just be nice.
Yeah.
They lost a duck.
Yes. Someone's picking off birds, and that's not cool.
That's not cool at all, especially ducks.
Ducks are
Ducks
great.
are awesome. They are great.
What's your favorite kind of duck?
Oh, okay. Oh, shit. I was going to say a merganser. Yeah, it's a kind of duck.
Is that a duck?
I'm kind of cheating. I'm kind of cheating a little. It's duck-like.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get to my favorite kind of duck. Oh, shoebill. Shoveler.
Oh, yeah. I like buffleheads.
Oh, shit, I should have said buffleheads.
They're so cute and tiny.
I was wrong. Buffleheads are also my favorite, too.
Excellent. This is why we are best friends.
Yes, because we have all the same likes. As the rest of our friendship is completely destroyed, it's the buffleheads that hold us together.
Oh my god. Sounds about right.
Oh man. If this animal ate a bufflehead, I'd be in a rage.
I mean, yes. This mysterious animal that we don't know what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming it's a mallard.
Oh, I thought a mallard sneaking in and eating?
Oh.
That's what I heard.
Yes, Cassie's, that's what she finds out. There's a duck that sneaks in and eats the other ducks.
Cannibal duck.
Animal duck. Oh, God. That's not what happens. I'm sorry. I lied. What actually happens is Cassie acquires a squirrel and then starts to morph it, forgetting to put the squirrel away.
Yeah!
But it's okay. It's fine. Because he runs into his cage, and she swears this is true. He shuts the cage himself. Yeah. Cassie, once again, dropping the ball with those animals.
Why did she start morphing into the squirrel without putting the other squirrel away? Why would you even do that?
I don't know.
That's...
The same reason you let your friend feed a hawk cooked meat.
I have so many questions.
I honestly, again, this is my love fest for Cassie. I sometimes wonder if I'm maybe a little too hard on her because I hold her to a higher standard because she works in a rehab center. And I assume she should know some things, and I forget that she is still just a 12-year-old and maybe doesn't know.
Well,
or 11-year-old.
An
80-pound-year-old.
Speaking of which, did you like that Snapchat I sent you?
I did. It was amazing.
For clarity, audience, if you remember our how much do 12-year-olds weigh discussion from...
What age are you when you're 80 pounds?
Yeah. What was that, episode 1? I was
yes.
I was at the grocery store and I was looking at the magazines while I was waiting in line, and there was some like People magazine with Angelina Jolie on the cover, and they were saying like Angelina Jolie weighs as much as her 12-year-old child Shiloh, and it said he was 80 pounds. And I'm like, there we go. We solved it.
Cracked that case.
Yes.
Those fools. They'll never doubt us again.
Exactly.
Oh.
Anyway,
Well,
Cassie also morphed into a squirrel inside a room full of other predators and animals, which...
Yeah, she figures that out pretty quick.
Yeah.
Like an idiot. So she morphed in the middle of this room and she starts freaking out. She's having troubles controlling the squirrel instincts, as they so often do with these high energy prey animals.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tobias just comes swooping into the barn, and he freaks her out a little. She's like twitching, freaking out. She jumps across. He sees her, and he decides, yes, snack time.
Because he doesn't know it's her.
It.
Yeah.
He doesn't know it's her. She can't talk yet because she's still out of control. So he swoops to get her, and as he's about to land the hit, all hell breaks loose. The fox shoves his head in through the wall. All the animals start freaking out because they're all prey animals. The wolves start howling for no apparent reason.
Because they're wolves.
And then
that's what wolves do.
Because they're wolves. They just did it. And then all the horses start freaking out because they can hear the wolves howling. And that causes Tobias to miss, which causes Cassie to fall to the floor. And then the fox is like, nailed it, got this squirrel. And that's about when she gets control of the animal. And she's like, Tobias, save me. And he's like, Cassie, what are you doing? And she's like, can you please save me from this predator? And he's like, but why are you being a squirrel right now? And she's like, can we talk about this later? It's not quite that out of control, but it definitely has that feel when you read it.
Yeah, I had the Benny Hill theme song going the whole time. There's just like shit's falling over. There's like brooms clattering to the floor, and it's just like
as like the fox knocks a bunch of stuff over, and Tobias is like flapping around on top of him, like, oh god,
chaos.
It is chaos, but Tobias does pull through and goes and gives the fox a pretty good rake along the backside, and he takes off. He does not want to deal with Tobias. So that was good on his part. I don't think a red tail would have actually ever gone after a fox, but you know, he at least scared him. And then Tobias is like, Cassie, what are you doing here at midnight turning into a squirrel? And my first question was, Tobias, what are you doing in here at midnight? You're a hawk. So, how does he feel about that?
That's a fair question. I
thought it was a fair question, and Cassie didn't think of it. Oh, man, Cassie. She's always just not thinking about things. Yes.
Like, I feel like I in my notes I wrote down like, man, we're already like 2 pages in and Cassie's already being like super reckless about all this and just like not thinking these things through. And then I'm like, okay, but Tobias and Rachel did that shit in the last book, and like these kids just don't think, and it's frustrating.
Yeah. We're being really hard on Cassie again. We gotta love her a little.
I mean,
at least that's my mission.
The point you said about holding her to a higher standard than the others because like she's very knowledgeable about animals is that I think I kind of do that too. Like, I don't know, but that's probably not fair.
It's probably not fair. So I'm gonna leave it at that instead of saying like, but it should also be expected because she does work with these animals. But you know, she does her thing. So Cassie and Tobias are hanging out there, and Cassie makes a joke like, what are you going after, a squirrel sandwich? And Tobias is like, I was thinking squirrel barbecue. And then he says, I hear something, very ominously, and it turns out just to be Cassie's dad. He opens the door and he's like, what are you doing out here? And she started demorphing when she was talking to Tobias, so she's well on her way to being a human girl. But she does happen to have this giant fluffy tail behind her. Mm-hmm. And so she's trying to demorph it and as fast as she can. And her dad goes, turn around real quick, just for 1 sec. And she does, and right as she does, the last of it like kind of swoops up into her spine. He's like, I thought you had a tail. And she's like, ha, Ha! Wouldn't that be funny?
Flying saucers.
And, the running gag.
Yeah.
You don't believe in that, do
Yeah.
you? Oh, man. And then she points out, like, my dad's the type of guy that needs an hour and 3 cups of coffee to wake up. And I was just like, man, I feel
Respect. Yeah.
you. Mad respect. That's me.
Yep.
I, too, need an hour and 45 minutes and at least 3 cups of coffee to wake up.
Yep.
So, that's what happened with Cassie and Tobias. And then they just kind of very casually drop into this conversation like, oh, man, even if it wasn't for the dreams, I shouldn't have come into the barn at midnight. Tobias is like, the dreams, end scene.
Dun dun dun.
That's legit. That's what happened. The mysterious dreams. So the gang meets up the next day, and Cassie asks, have any of you had weird dreams about the ocean? And Marco immediately chimes in, no, but I have had dreams about falling into some sort of abyss and meeting King Friday from Mr. Rogers' neighborhood.
Who is King Friday?
I believe, and I do not know because I didn't look it up, I believe he's the king puppet that sits in the castle, and Mr. Rogers goes and talks to him in his weird train castle.
Okay.
He's just like the weird little hand puppet that like waves his wand around, scepter, I guess.
All right. I clearly haven't watched enough Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood then.
Yeah, you should definitely go and rewatch all that. He used to swim naked every morning.
Mr. Rogers?
Yeah.
All right.
He did.
All right.
At his house pool, and one time a guy came over to do an interview, and he just like got naked in front of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. I mean, and also the sweater that he wore, the red one, it was like an homage to his mother because she like knit him that sweater or something.
Holy
so
shit.
he put it on to say hi to her every episode.
Aww.
That's what I know about Mr. Rogers.
I have so many feelings.
I feel like people come here for the Animorphs, but they stay for the factoids.
Yeah, we have a lot of them.
We have a weird amount. I don't know why I know that about Mr. Rogers. I just do. Well, now that we've gone off on that tangent, Marco also does mention that he has Baywatch dreams sometimes of an unknown origin, and that does kind of include the ocean. So he's pretty much there. He's pretty much on board with Cassie from step one.
Right.
So, and Rachel kind of makes fun of him. Is like, oh, you're dreaming about King Friday? Like, you need some help, man. And, like, after coming off the Tobias book, my reaction to this was, like, you know, they probably do really need some mental help, but not about this.
Yeah. Someone help these kids. They need some therapy.
Someone, please get these kids some therapy. Anyways. They all met up at Rachel's house, and this was a point where I think they've taken a turn for the better. They've started planning out getting to her house at different times. They have Tobias flying surveillance in the neighborhood. They made sure to meet up at a time that Rachel's mom and her sisters are not going to be in the house. And it's a little bit of overkill for this particular situation, but it's nice to see that they're actually starting to think about security and making sure they're not found and kind of stepping it up a little bit because they've been a little lackadaisical in the previous books.
Yeah, you dumb 12-year-olds.
You idiot children. And then here's another part where I'm going to go off on a weird factoid tangent. So Rachel's room is set as being like put together out of a magazine. It's very beautiful. Everything matches. And she has a bulletin board with 2 quotes on it. And the first one is a Malayan proverb saying, "Don't think there are no crocodiles just because the water is calm." The other is, "If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the results of 100 battles," by Sun Tzu. I'm probably saying that wrong. It's S-U-N, first name, last name, T-Z-U. So when I first read this, I'm like, oh, that's funny that Cassie read that because she's all about, like, knowing herself and, like, knowing, you know, finding out the motives of not even her enemies, but also her friends. And, like, she's really into motives. So I looked up Sun Tzu, not knowing anything about him, and he, like, wrote The Art of War.
Huh.
And, yeah. And, well, they think he did. There's some, you know, historical problems with that, and they think maybe he didn't, or maybe he plagiarized, or maybe blah, blah, blah. But one of the coolest stories / the worst stories that I got about Sun Tzu was he was told they were testing his skills. The King of Wu tested Sun Tzu's skills by commanding him to train a harem of 180 concubines into soldiers. Sun Tzu divided them into 2 companies, appointing the 2 concubines most favored by the king as the company commanders. When Sun Tzu first ordered the concubines to face right, they giggled. In response, Sun Tzu said that the general, in this case himself, was responsible for ensuring that the soldiers understood the commands given to them. Then he reiterated the command, and again the concubines giggled. Sun Tzu then ordered the execution of the king's 2 favored concubines to the king's protest. He explained that if the general's soldiers understood their commands but did not obey, it was the fault of the officers. Sun Tzu also said that once a general was appointed, it was his duty to carry out his mission, even if the king protested. After both the concubines were killed, new officers were chosen to replace them. Afterwards, both companies, now well aware of the cost of further frivolity, performed their maneuvers flawlessly. And I was like, well, I guess that's not very Cassie-like. That's actually more Rachel-like. Yeah, so that's... I got into it, man.
Damn.
I was like, these quotes must have something to do with, like, further in the plot. And you can draw some comparisons. And I just love that it was the art of war. And I love that Rachel's preparing for it. And I also imagine that she, too, would be, like, the type that'd be like, yeah, execute those concubines. And then everybody else would be like, Rachel, that's not what we should do. And she'd be like, let's do it. So, anyways.
Damn, that's, like, next level shit.
I got a little intense. I mean, that's really what took me so long in reading this book. I just kept going off on tangents.
Meanwhile, I'm just giggling because then Jake pulls out a video cassette out of his bag, and I'm just like... video cassettes, remember that shit?
And the other thing, that whole scene is, like, he pulls out the video cassette, and he's like, where's your VHS player? And I was like, this is amazing. And then they all go traipsing down the stairs together with Tobias flapping awkwardly overhead. Like, come on, guys. Like, carry him or something.
Aww.
He's a bird. And then he and Marco have the whole thing where Marco's like, hey, man, are hawks like seagulls? Like, could they poop on your head? And Tobias says something like, it depends. It can be. He's like, all I'm trying to say is, like, if you get on my nerves, wear a hat. So, that cracked me up. But for the records, hawks generally poop before they fly, and they poop straight back. So he'd have to have really good aim and be ahead of Marco.
Right.
Just for factuality's sake.
And owls poop straight down, yeah?
And owls poop straight down. Owl could poop directly on his head.
Yep. Fun fact.
Bird facts.
Yay!
Oh, gosh. Okay, so...
Oh, hey. I actually had a note. Do hawks poop while flying? And which I guess...
I'm here for you. I can sense the needs of the people.
I mean, like, I kind of figured they pooped before they flew, just to kind of, like, lighten the load a little bit, but...
Yeah, most birds do.
Yeah. That's not to say they can't poop while flying, they just generally don't.
Yeah, they can. They just usually do not.
Gotcha!
I've always wondered, though... I don't know why I've always wondered this, but I have. Like, when Tobias is just hanging out at their house, do you think, like, he ever, like, just once kind of forgot himself and just, like, pooped down one of their walls? I was like, ah, damn it!
Oh, God, Rachel, I'm so sorry.
I totally forgot I couldn't just poop wherever I wanted.
Oh, my God.
Oh, I think that'd be hilarious.
I feel like there's probably some, like, modesty about that. You know, considering how modest they are about, like, oh no, I couldn't morph clothes. Like, I better, like, avert my eyes or whatever.
Yeah.
There's probably enough. I don't know. This is a long segment about bird poop, though, so... It's
so important. Like, bird poop is really important, guys. You can tell a lot about many animals from their poop, and we should all be more excited about it.
No shit.
That's all. Damn it, Kaycie. Damn it.
I'm here for you. I'm here for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. Oh my gosh. Okay, back to the notes about VHS tapes being from the 90s.
Yes. So Jake pulls out this VHS tape. They go downstairs and they watch it. And it turns out to be like a news segment about a guy who found a weird part of something, an artifact.
Yeah, just like a chunk of
metal. Weird chunk of metal. And I'm just sitting here like, okay, you obviously recorded this, but like, how did you know when to record this? Like, or like, you know what I mean? Like,
they don't have the ability to rewind. Does he just record the news on the off chance there's something?
I mean, maybe. Like, that would kind of be smart if you're, like, scanning for info.
Don't they play it twice, though? So, like, he could have watched the earlier news segment and then, like, been waiting for it the second run?
Yeah. That's true.
Jake, instead of just calling his friends and telling them what he saw, he's like, I have to make a freaking impression on these idiot children so they rally around me. Bust out the VHS.
VHS. God. Remember when you had to rewind things?
Be kind, rewind. Yep. I do remember that. And then do you remember how they actually made money by selling you a machine that would rewind your tapes for you?
Oh, I thought most VCRs just did that.
Maybe in the later days, but there was actually just like a separate machine, and it wasn't like a VHS. It was just like a little square that was only maybe an inch larger than the cassette. That would, you just pop it in to rewind it for you, so you did not have to rewind it in the VHS player.
Holy shit.
I know. And people made money on that. We have DVDs now.
I love how you didn't even go to, like, digital movies. You just went to streaming DVDs. Oh.
Yeah, I did not go to digital. Shoot. I'm sorry. I really missed the mark on that one. Let's edit that out.
No.
And edit in that I said digital movies.
No, that was hilarious. Oh my god.
Damn it.
Oh.
I am so still behind the times.
You kids and your MP3 players.
You kids and your Zunes.
Oh my god.
And can you imagine if we handed these guys a Zune? They'd be like, "What is this magic?"
It'd be like Ron Swanson when he's just like, Tom put all this music into this triangle. This is an excellent triangle. Or sorry, rectangle. iPods are rectangular. God damn it! I need to redo that segment. Oh.
Hey, if we can't edit in anything here, then we're just gonna have to keep going forward and imagining that iPods are triangular now.
Oh my god! Why did I?
Actually,
I'm not stupid. I swear I'm not. I just said the wrong word.
It's okay. I said DVDs were the future, and we're already 3 iterations of technology past that at this point.
Jesus Christ.
We're not doing well. This podcast is going south, guys.
We're also 35 minutes in and like barely 10 pages into the book. Sorry.
And this is a really important book, so I'll start pressing on. You know, because otherwise we'll have to rewind this podcast.
Oh god.
And re-record over it.
God.
It'll probably be our wedding tape. Oh. Alright, so the guy comes on the TV from the recording that apparently should be wearing a shirt but is not. And he has a piece of metal or debris in his hands. And on it, there's some writing. And Jake goes, "I'm no expert, but that looks pretty similar to what I saw on Elfangor's ship when I went in there." And that causes everybody to kind of pause for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh shit. And that at that point, very conveniently, both Cassie and Tobias pass out.
Yes.
And Cassie's caught in Jake's strong arms, but doesn't even have the wherewithal to remember it.
Ugh, whatever.
Meanwhile, Tobias felt like from flying mode, is twitching on the floor, and nobody gives a flying F about him.
Flying.
Except for me. Pun intended.
Yes.
Pun intended. So they're like, "Call an ambulance." And about that time, Cassie's kind of coming back too, and Rachel's like, has the phone, is like, "I'm gonna do it." And Marco's like, "No, it's too big a security risk." And I'm like, "Thank you, Marco, for being the voice of reason again." And so Cassie kind of comes to and is like waking up, and then they say something about Tobias, and Cassie turns to him and he looks dead. And then she realizes he's still breathing. She announces he's still breathing, at which point he wakes up and jumps up and completely like flares all his feathers out and starts, you know.
Can I just make a comment about fainting?
Yeah.
I have fainted twice in the past couple of years. And
I thought you were going to say days, and I was go to the hospital.
No, I promise.
Why are you talking to me on this podcast? Get medical attention.
No. Oh, God.
Okay, sorry. Sorry, I panicked.
It was okay. So, yeah, I've fainted before very recently. And I have yet to see anything in media that kind of accurately represents what it's like to wake up from fainting. Because, like, when I was reading this, Cassie, like, basically kind of wakes up and she's kind of like, oh, what happened? And then, like, immediately, like, gets up and runs over to Tobias. It's like, okay, after I have come to, I'm, like, weak because your blood pressure drops spontaneously. You're weak, you get, like, really sweaty, and you can't really do anything for, like, at least 15, 20 minutes afterwards. Maybe I'm just, like, super weak or something, but, like...
No.
Like, you've passed out before, right?
I did. I went through a spell at the end of college where I passed out a few times. And then I realized maybe if I drank a little water, it might help.
Water!
Water! Turns out if you dehydrate yourself because you don't like the taste of water, you pass out. So drink some water, guys. Yay. PSA. Get your 8 ounces or whatever.
8 ounces.
Yeah, when you wake up from passing out, like, and I try, like, my first reaction is always get up as fast as possible because, like, I hate being in those positions, and every time I, like, fall down, get thrown, whatever, I try to get up immediately. And from passing out, it's almost like you have, like, deer legs. Like, you can't quite make it back up, and you keep struggling to your feet, but it takes some time. And when you come to, it's like you have to come from far away.
Yeah.
So it takes a little time.
Yeah, and that, I don't know, like, I have a lot of pet peeves in media. Like, another pet peeve I have is when I'm watching a TV show and somebody's holding a gun and they have their finger on the trigger, and they're just like walking around with it, and I'm like, do not put your finger on the trigger unless you intend to shoot right then. Like,
yeah, and have your safety on. Come on.
Like, it's little inaccuracies like that just kind of drive me up the wall a little bit. So I was a little bit, like, sad about the fainting thing. I'm like, she's fine. Like, no big deal.
And if I was there and there was, like, a hawk injured, I too would immediately try to get up and, like, see what was going on, see if I get, like, help, whatever. But, like, I wouldn't be able to get up.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway.
Maybe we're just too safety conscious.
Maybe. I don't know.
Like, maybe some people run around with their fingers on the trigger of guns. I guess. Why am I defending those people? They're idiots. Oh my gosh. Oh, the internal struggle is real.
Yes.
Oh man. So, anyways, Cassie passes out, and since this is the Love the Cassie episode, she was stronger than both Kaycie and I and overcame her weakness immediately. Probably because she's 80 pounds and it takes like 10 minutes less to regulate her blood pressure.
Yeah.
Because she's a child.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just going to throw out any medical explanation I can. I'm not a doctor. I know nothing.
I mean, maybe it's like when a really young child breaks their bones, they take much less time to recover because their bones are still kind of soft. And
oh, yeah, because they're made of elastic
yeah.
bones.
So maybe 12-year-olds just recover more quickly from fainting than almost 30-year-olds,
I guess we're going to have to take out some 12-year-olds and see how long it takes them to stand up.
Oh, Christ.
We're doing it for science, guys.
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I'll make a note to look up some stats on that later. Like when we looked up how many people were in the world in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we'll edit that in later.
Cool.
Maybe. Probably not. So, anyways, when they passed out, they had... That's the other thing. This wasn't like a medical pass-out reason. This could have been a different... Like, maybe their blood pressure didn't drop. Maybe their brain just kind of, like, clicked off for a second.
Sure.
I don't know. I'm making excuses for them now. So, they wake up, and they've both had this vision of oceans, and I think there is flashes of sort of Andalite type speak in there, but not an actual alien or anything like that. But after they wake up, they start questioning them. Was the voice human? And Cassie goes, no. And then she's kind of like, oh, that's silly. Why did I say no? I mean, I have no clue. And then she and Tobias are both like, no, it wasn't human. And then Tobias is the one that's like, Andalite! And they're like, yes, that's exactly right. So now they know there's an Andalite in the ocean. And they take a moment. They have a kind of a heartfelt moment. They remember Delfangor, and Rachel, I don't know why, but immediately goes on the defensive to Marco and is like, I know this doesn't mean anything to you, but he died trying to save the Earth. And Marco is kind of like, what do you think I am, Rachel? I know, it means a lot to me. So that was a weird moment, because in this book, Marco, he's against doing all of this, as he is in the other books, and yet he's more willing to fight than in any of the previous ones.
Yeah, I was noticing that too.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's just, like, Cassie's perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. She has a better perspective than Tobias does, because he was a dick in Tobias's book.
Right, yeah. And now he's kind of, like, turn the other cheek here. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, so Marco is all in, and they say, okay, well, let's take a moment to vote and decide on what we're going to do. And Rachel says, there's an Andalite calling for help. I'm ready to go. Tobias says he shouldn't get a vote because he can't go into water. And but they all know how he would vote anyways. Cassie is like, I can't ignore someone's cry for help because she's a hero. And Marco does the most awesome thing ever, which would totally be something I would do in this situation. He's like, man, I am so sorry to disappoint you guys. This is a real bummer. I really hate to do this. But I was there too, and if there's an Andalite who needs anything from me, I'm there. I'm like, yay, Marco!
Troll.
He's such a troll. I love him. Yeah. And I love all of them because it's Valentine's Day. In this episode. Not when we're recording. It is nowhere near Valentine's Day right now.
Yes.
Spoilers.
It's called a backlog. It's called a backlog. Deal with it.
Deal with it.
I don't know why I got really intense there. Oh, I had a random question.
Okay.
I don't know what prompted this, but it's in my notes, so I'm going to assume it's legit. Can you acquire a morph from someone who is already in a morph?
No.
Okay. Just curious.
I'm here for you. I'm here to answer your curious questions.
Excellent.
Yes. So after Marco is a troll, they cut to the beach.
To the beach.
To the beach. And Marco is giving everybody shit because he couldn't take 5 frickin' minutes after his heroic effort to join the team for once and be nice. He's like, I had dreams too, guys, and my dreams were staying safely at home watching TV. Why don't we ever do my dreams? We all just do your dreams. So while they're having these conversations on the beach, and they start turning towards, why is it Cassie and Tobias that can hear these voices? And Rachel's the one that kind of brings up, well, Tobias is a hawk, so he's always in morph, so he's kind of closer to Andalites, and Cassie's the best morpher. So maybe her kind of inherent closeness to animals means that she's better at this and she's more receptive to these sorts of things.
Which confused me because, like, I understood why Tobias might be hearing the Andalite better because, like, he was there with Elfangor, much longer than everyone else. And they make a point to mention this a lot.
They do. Yep.
So I guess I didn't really think that was not the reason, but then it didn't explain Cassie either. So I don't know. And
like with Cassie, it's more like I feel like her explanation is just that she's more spiritual as a person, so like she's closer to these things. Like I feel like they're almost making the argument that because she's so good with animals, she has an inherent understanding of nature, and that just means that she's closer to this, like, clairvoyant sort of thing.
Okay, yeah.
But it felt like a really loose premise.
Yeah.
Maybe they're like, we wanted this to happen in the Tobias book, but there's so much internal struggle that we could not.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Well, anyways, Tobias then sees people with flashlights over in the next dune.
Does he see? Because, again, this is at night.
He does not.
This is at night. Tobias is a hawk.
Beams.
Tobias makes a point to mention that his vision in the dark is no better than a human's, and I wanted to fact check with you to see if that was correct.
No, it's worse than a human's.
I mean, I honestly think this, like, seeing in the dark thing is just suspending reality for the sake of the narrative at this point. Just because it happens so much, I'm just like, all right, fine.
I feel like she retcons that later, though.
Does she?
Like, I feel like if I remember correctly, and I might not, I do think that in later books she starts mentioning how they can't really see it all at night. I think it was his earlier books that it's more like, we need a scout, so we're sending him out. But in later books, she's kind of like, yeah, no, that doesn't quite work like that. Yeah. I'm also just really picky.
It's fine. It's fine. This is all fine.
Everything is fine.
Everything is okay.
Down us.
Yeah. Sorry.
We're not freaking out. This is not us freaking out.
I'm so sorry. I don't want to...
I'm not
Again,
sorry.
I don't want to mansplain Animorphs, but...
our secondary podcast.
Yeah.
Kaycie and Alex mansplain. Come to a theater near you. 2020.
So they're on the beach. They see flashlights, and I guess at this point they talk a little bit about controllers and Yeerks and what kind of people become controllers, just for like background narrative for people that are just jumping in.
Yeah, and a little bit of the sharing too.
Yeah, and then I had a random question like that just kind of came up in my brain. It's like, what kind of people become voluntary hosts for the Yeerks? Like, it's not...
Well...
I don't know. Like, I don't see the appeal at all for anything other than fear. Or, like, you know, bargaining, like the Chapmans.
Oh, yeah. Like, so, I feel like they don't really cover this, but they kind of talk about it, like, as time goes on here. And it's really people who are alone. Like, Tobias is the perfect target.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay, it's kind of like, this will make you feel better. Like, this will make you feel not alone. This will solve all your problems. I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Like, come be part of this group where your family will take care of you. Everything you're craving from your family that you can't have, we will give you.
Gotcha. Okay.
By the way, we're going to stick an alien in your brain.
Minor technicality.
But that's like a footnote. That's like the tiny copy you see at the bottom of comics.
Yeah, that's just a side effect. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It'll probably be fine. And, oh, man, as we get further into the book series, when we start learning more about the relationships between Yeerks and their host bodies,
I'm going to pause real quick.
All right, I'm just going to keep recording.
Okay, because I think it's taking from my built-in microphone instead of my actual microphone. Oh, no! Why does it reset this? Hang on.
I am so sorry, audience. I realized I was using the wrong microphone for the first 50 minutes of this podcast, so I'm very sorry if the audio sounds weird and is now better. Hooray!
Much like the Animorphs, we too don't know what we're doing and are stumbling blindly through this, trying to figure it out as we go.
That is very accurate.
Yeah, we basically are the Animorphs.
I'm gonna stop yelling at the kids for being dumb now. I feel like I've saved that all for myself.
So in this one episode, when we have like been really, really mean to Cassie, well, not really, really mean to Cassie, I have said DVDs are the height of technology. You have said iPods are triangular, and we've used the wrong mic to record. And the last episode, I deleted an hour and 20 minutes of my audio files and have to restore it.
We are on top of it today.
We are killing it by Animorph standards.
Killing it.
You know what? At least neither of us are dead, and we are not controllers.
That is always a bright side.
That's the bright side. So, we're doing great.
Yeah. So, speaking of doing great, so they're on the beach, and they get discovered.
They do. Their footprints get discovered, much like Jesus. And this somehow sends all of the controllers into a tizzy, which is, they're on a beach. There's bound to be tons of footprints, right? But whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the controllers are like, they're ahead of us. Get them. It was Chapman actually that yells, "Get them." And Rachel goes, "Morph!" And Marco goes, "No! Then they'll see our footprints turning into animals, and then they'll figure this out." Which is really funny because very soon after this, we revisit that. So Cassie's running away. The light beam from the flashlight goes over her, and then she's being shot at. And she's
with
like...
an actual gun, not a Draken beam.
Right. And that kind of freaks her out because it's like, yeah, it's one thing when it's all this, like, sci-fi nonsense. Like, yeah, I'm fighting, Hork-Bajir when I'm a wolf, and they're firing Draken beams at me. And she's like, but this is a straight-up gun. Like, this is a human weapon. And so she freezes, and Jake grabs her, and he goes, run to the water and morph. And says, we're going to morph fish. Even though it's freshwater fish, they're going to do it anyways. Because what other options do they have?
Right.
So Cassie can hear the controllers talking on the beach while she's morphing into the fish. And Tom very astutely says, those were children's footprints. They're probably just kids. So, and then Chapman's like, yeah, we don't know why that idiot was shooting. He goes, there's children's clothing floating in the water. Chapman's like, that's a coincidence. Tom's like, what if it's kids morphing or people morphing and not Andalites? And Chapman kind of laughs and he goes, yeah, but are you going to be the one to tell Visor 3 he's wrong? He goes, maybe it's kids. I'm not telling him anything.
Which I thought was interesting because going back to book 2, after Rachel did her partial elephant morph to scare off the creepy dude.
Fluffer McNutty.
Fluffer McNutty.
Sorry, that was book 2. But yeah, when she did the half elephant morph.
Yeah, and the guy screamed and ran away, and then the Chapmans pulled up, and I think you had made the comment, like, at that point, we don't know if Chapman knows about it, because he may or may not have seen her morph.
Right.
So, I don't know, I kind of read this scene as, like, holy shit, maybe Chapman does know? Or maybe not, I don't know.
I see, and I'm without spoilers.
Yeah.
There are
I'm
whispers.
sorry, I keep putting you in this position of like, I have a theory or a question and I know you know the answer, but you can't tell me yet. So I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I am I was going to say something. I'll say it later in the book because this is a spoiler within this book, but I'm going to hold off on it. Cool. Yeah, no, that's totally fine. I'm also trying not to like, I'm trying to give you my theories and like lead you someplace, which is, I shouldn't, but I'm trying to lead you some places because I want to make a point down the road about it. Okay. So, remember when we talked in book 2 and I said Visor 2, oh my God, Visor 3, there is no Visor 2 in any of these books.
Oh boy.
When I said Visor 3 was not a great leader and not a lot of people respect him. And we learned that in book 2.
Right.
And that really kind of undermines his leadership back then. And there's whispers of this guy, like, throughout his ranks of, like, he's crazy, right? Like, what he's asking us to do is insane, right? And throughout the book, it kind of works towards the Animorphs' advantage. And, he's a terrible leader. He should not have been put in this position. He should not be the leader of a subtle invasion. And it shows. And it just gets more and more obvious as the time goes on. So that was probably talking myself in a circle and made no sense, but hopefully one day it'll make sense. So the kids make an escape. They say, keep the beach on your left and go as fast as you can. And Jake's checking in with everybody, which again, throwback to he's never going to make that mistake again after the whole Tobias thing. Cassie, you here? Rachel, you here? Yep. Marco, you here? And Marco's like, where else would I be? This is exactly where I'm meant to be. I'm so glad I'm here.
Oh.
Yes.
Sorry, I am going to go back to the Chapman thing real quick.
Do it.
So, are they aware, Tom brought up that they might be kids.
Mm-hmm.
Are the controllers aware that the Andalites would probably have human morphs if they were trying to blend in on Earth?
Yeah, well, because that would be their tactic when they were on Earth. So I think they could safely assume that they would acquire people fairly quickly. And even Visor 3, because he has insight into what Andalites would do because he has an Andalite host.
Right.
So they could safely assume they would acquire human hosts before, but or human hosts quickly upon landing. But I think there's some other things going on here. Like, they don't behave like Andalite warriors because Andalites are not really guerrilla fighters.
Mm-hmm.
So they can be. There's divisions of the Andalite military that is guerrilla warfare, but that's not who they send, and that's not who they were fighting right outside of Earth before everything crashed.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So I think that it's just speculation from his ranks. It's just that nobody has the confidence to approach him and suggest this, because he's not a leader that you can suggest things to.
He will not take feedback in a good way.
He's not General Leia Organa. Let's say that.
Oh,
Carrie Fisher. I love you.
I love you, Carrie Fisher.
Happy Valentine's Day, Carrie Fisher.
Oh, yeah. Spread the love.
Spread the love.
For that.
I love her.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on.
I had enough tragedy at the last episode.
I know. I
feel
like it's a downer.
Happy thoughts.
Oh, happy thoughts. All right. Happy thoughts. Jake comes to hang out with Cassie, and it's pretty cute.
Oh, one note before we start that.
Oh, man. You don't want to go to the happy. I feel like you're lying to me about wanting to go to the happy.
No, this is a totally just minor complaint.
Okay.
Lawyer of the Year. Rachel's mom wins Lawyer of the Year. Is that even a thing?
Where? How? Who gives that award?
In what?
In what case?
Lawyer
like at
of
her
the
company? Year. Maybe it's at her company. Like
Employee of the Month, Lawyer of the Year. Like, it's at her firm. Maybe?
Lawyer of the Month. Yeah, maybe at her firm, but like
that was weird. Anyway.
I think they just wanted to like depict how successful her mom was, and they're like, what? She's a lawyer. What awards do lawyers win? And maybe it was like what I think happened in the opening of X-Files, like where they left in that slide that just says paranormal activity, and like they wanted to put in paranormal activity but forgot, so it just says it. Maybe this is the same thing where she's like, placeholder, Lawyer of the Year, and then she forgot to go back and change it.
Oh my god. Perhaps. Okay, sorry, that was completely not related to the plot at all. I just wanted to point that out.
I mean, it was brought up in the book. It's fair game.
I mean,
honestly, if it wasn't brought up in the book, it's still fair game. We talk about whatever we want.
Yes.
Fair game.
Yeah, if you're gonna put it in the book, it's gonna be noticed.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, Jake and Cassie hang out, and Cassie, to me, indicates that she is a total Hufflepuff, just because she's very much into the earth.
But does she find anything?
Well, she finds that the ocean scares her. She makes a point to like tell Jake that the ocean, she's like, I understand the earth. I do not understand the ocean. It's so big and vast. Which, like, you know, that's a pretty fair, I mean, that's a pretty relatable feeling about the ocean for a lot of people.
I get that, but like, did you think that scene was really weird where all of a sudden she's like, it's like, the ocean scares me, but I'm just a farm girl. I get the earth. Everything in the earth is fine. Did you hear that we've owned this farm since World War I? Or whatever she said. Civil War. Was it Civil War?
Oh, and then Jake's like, yeah, I had Thanksgiving with your family last year, and your grandma told me all about it. And
where was Jake's family? Why didn't you have Thanksgiving with that?
Yeah, I was like, Jake has a very big whole family. Like, where, like, I don't know. Usually when you go over to someone else's house for Thanksgiving, when presumably your family also celebrates Thanksgiving, I'm like, that's kind of like meeting the parents. That's like a serious relationship move.
Serious relationship. I mean, it's not just like coming over for dinner. That's for Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I
don't know. It's very... Yeah, I thought the exact same thing when that happened. I was like, Jake, what are you doing over there? And maybe it was just that his family went to the sharing for a good wholesome turkey dinner, and he was like, you know what?
Oh, no.
Cassie's house.
Or maybe they did like what my family does, and we usually have Thanksgiving dinner for lunch.
Really?
So maybe Jake like had Thanksgiving dinner for lunch, and then he went over to Cassie's for like actual dinner. I don't know. Maybe he was just like party hopping.
Oh, that would be badass. Oh my god. Jake's such a badass. That would be so much food. That would be so much food. That would be like my family, because like my family for Thanksgiving, well, for any meal with my family, dinner is at like 9 o'clock because nobody knows how to organize anything. It'll be like, let's start dinner at 4, and they'll realize they forgot everything and like have to go to the store. And I'm like, haven't you known about this for like weeks now? And so they eat at 9. So like you can totally go to some normal family's Thanksgiving at like 5, and then like at 9 go back to your house for other Thanksgiving. So like maybe Cassie's family is like, we have so many animals to take care of. We don't eat dinner till like 10 p.m.
Sure.
That's my guess. I don't know.
I like how we're like fixating on things that aren't really like relevant to the plot. They're just kind of like offhand comments.
We want to get into the nitty gritty. We said we were gonna, I don't know if we made any promises actually on this podcast, but
yeah, that's true.
I'm gonna make one now. We get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah. We don't fuck around.
We're after the real story.
The real story.
Here at Animorphs Anonymous, we delve deep.
Well, you know what? I think that's fair, because I think, you know, I haven't listened to other Animorphs podcasts or read a lot of other Animorphs, like, you know, summaries or cliff notes or whatever. But I'm pretty sure, you know, most of these things cover, you know, the stuff that we're not covering. I don't want to be like, we cover the stuff that no one else does, because
like
I don't know.
Like major plot points.
Yeah. Like,
which we gloss right over.
I know, we're just like, yeah, and then this thing happens, whatever. But let's talk about Jake and Cassie at Thanksgiving. So, I mean, I don't know. Not to be like, again, I haven't looked at other Animorphs stuff because I don't want to spoil myself, but...
Yeah, I really try to stay away from it. I have listened to one podcast that kind of ended prematurely for whatever reason. I don't know. And it was more... like it was more of a very structured conversation. Like it was very different from kind of the vision I think that we have and that we talked about for this podcast, which was more like we're having a conversation like we would on the phone by ourselves.
Right. It's a very informal discussion between two very close friends about a mutual interest. Exactly.
And it's not like we're trying to go over, like we write down the major plots to like drive the discussion, but we're not going over like the structures of the writing and like the things that people that are much better at that than us can talk about it. Sure. What we're good at is getting to the bottom of why Jake would go to Thanksgiving at Cassie's house. For no reason.
and whether or not Lawyer of the Year is a real thing.
Which it's not.
Nah, I'm pretty sure it's not.
I'm pretty sure it's not. I mean...
But we also talk about animal facts, which, you know, is pretty cool.
Animal facts are awesome. We play to our strengths, which are odd.
Yes. It's a selective skill set that we have. So.
Yeah. So anyways, I really think that I don't know why they let Jake go for maybe. Oh, no, never mind. I won't cover that now. I was gonna say Jake's family. Why wouldn't he go to like another relative's house? Because I know his grandpa is like a pillar of his family. So why wouldn't he have Thanksgiving with them? But I could see him just doing it at home, and maybe the rest of his family like split up to do something. Like they went to other relatives' house. Maybe they were at Rachel's house. No, her mom wouldn't cook. Her mom's a terrible cook.
She's too busy being Lawyer of the Year.
She's too busy being Lawyer of the Year to cook. Maybe it was supposed to be at Rachel's mom's house and everyone was going to go over there, but she was so busy lawyering she forgot to defrost the turkey, so Jake split for Cassie's house. Solved it.
We tied the two incidental situations together for your benefit, audience.
You were asking these questions. We have gotten tens of letters probably asking this question.
Tens of hypothetical letters.
We have probably gotten letters about this. And we dove deep. We brought it. We brought it. This is it. I'd like to think that this was the highlight of all of the episodes we've recorded so far.
The Thanksgiving discussion?
The Thanksgiving discussion. Actually, you know what? No. Kangaroos with Guns was better.
That was pretty cool.
I died when I heard that. So anyways. Back into the actual plot of the book. So Jake goes over there, and I thought this was a really adorable scene. Cassie doesn't normally seem to connect with the people she says she does. So, like, she's like, Rachel's my best friend. But there's no supporting action there. And this was one of the few times where I'm like, oh, Cassie really did bring the supporting action. Like, she and Jake have this cute moment of, like, they're just doing chores together, and, you know, Cassie's, like, cleaning up poop, and Cassie's kind of like, I'm covered in poop, this is embarrassing. And to cover that, she's kind of like, all right, help me shovel manure. And he's being adorable about it, too, and they kind of have a good time together, and it doesn't last long because Jake's actually there to ask her to make a decision, which Cassie doesn't want to do.
I can relate. I hate making decisions. Me
too. God, decisions are the worst. And, like, Cassie not being as weak as me, when she says it, she's like, can't you just make it for me? And Jake's like, I could. Like, he very seriously was like, yeah, if you want me to, I will. And I would have been like, cool, it's on you, buddy. But Cassie is not like me. She was like, oh, I can't make you go through that emotional turmoil. You've already gone through enough, so I'll make the decision. And the decision is whether or not to go after the Andalite under the ocean. Of course. The answer is yes.
Of course.
Why would you do anything else? What kind of asshole would do anything else? Even me who doesn't want to make that decision would decide yes. God. Idiots.
God.
Whew, that went off the rails real fast.
Perfect.
So then they decide, or try to decide, what are they going to morph? And I believe it was Cassie that said dolphins. And Jake goes, cool. And then Cassie goes, well, we can't morph dolphins. And Jake's like, well, why? And she's like, they're highly intelligent. And Jake's like, cool. And then bounces. He's like, whatever. And then right before he leaves, making her make this decision and, like, putting this really hard thing on her, he gives her one last throwaway line, which is like fucking Casanova here.
Oh, yeah, like, I'd rather be shoveling manure with you than doing homework without you any day.
Exactly.
And she was kind of like, I think that was a compliment?
That's some high school level pickup shit.
Damn.
He's ahead of his time.
Bastard. Yeah.
He is. He's super suave. He's awesome.
Freaking whatever.
Anyways, my next note on here is the kids are still paying to get into the park.
Oh my God. I feel like if I were an Animorph, I would, like, try to write off all those tickets on my tax forms or something.
What is your day job? Super secret saver of the world. Can I write this off? Also, we morph in the barn space. It is 60 square feet on the floor. Do I need cubic feet to write that space off? Didn't we have another question about taxes in a previous episode?
Oh God, I don't know.
We should start compiling these, and I can ask my friend who's like a CPA or whatever they call it. I can ask her all of our tax questions. I'm going to ask her about this.
Okay.
Because I feel like the problem is you'd have to have, like, a lawyer form, or you'd be self-employed. And if they're self-employed, they'd have to register. And what are they, a not-for-profit, a 501c3?
They're like, I don't know, do vigilantes get shit?
No, vigilantes go to jail. That's illegal. I'd say they're a not-for-profit rescue organization, and they just happen to rescue the human race.
They're also 12 and they don't pay taxes.
Oh yeah, they're also dependents. Never mind.
Oh my God.
I know how taxes work. I'm an adult. Shit. All right, so they get into the park, and Cassie has probably the most un-Cassie-like moment in the entire series right here, and that is Cassie says, Marco's mom died. She thinks it's kind of romantic how the dad mourns him, but at the same time, death happens. Get over it.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and then she's like, death happens all the time at the animal clinic. And, like, animals mean more to me than people. But there's something a little different about, like, when your mom dies versus when, like, the animal that you brought in for rehab dies.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, even I know that there's a difference there. And I'm emotionally stunted.
You didn't cry at Coco.
I didn't cry at Coco. I am evil. I have no heart because I did not cry at Coco.
Holy shit.
That being said, when my Starling dies, when Gax dies, I'm gonna need I'm gonna be like Marco's dad. I'm just gonna quit my job. I'm gonna spend every day in my bathrobe. I'm not gonna talk to anyone.
Holy shit.
I mean, I get it, but it was very un-Cassie like. Like, she's supposed to be the emotion. She's supposed to be the heart of this Captain Planet group, and she just isn't in this moment. Really mean.
Yeah.
I know. The hell, Cassie. The hell. Well, anyways, I guess she decides Marco's over it, and they go to see the dolphins, and they give us a really strange explanation of the park that we didn't need to know, which was that mammals are up front, and then it's the Shamu Stadium.
Yeah, I didn't see why that was
I didn't
totally
either.
relevant.
But she named it, so we mentioned it.
Oh, and once again, the zoo staff comes by and is like, "Oh, hey, Cassie. Oh, you brought your friends with you? Go play with the dolphins. Have fun."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Come on,
here's a bucket
Eileen."
of fish. Come on, Eileen.
Her name was Eileen.
Yes, I know it was, but it was just very funny when you said
Good.
it. Okay.
Good.
Yeah, Eileen just gives them a bucket of fish, and Cassie goes, "Oh, this won't disrupt their feeding schedule, will it?" And she's like, "Nah, just make sure Joey doesn't get it all." Because, of course, the dolphins are named after all the Friends characters.
I wrote, "Are you shitting me?" in all caps on my notes.
I wrote that about Joey getting all the food.
Fuck. I was just getting a random F-bomb. Fuck.
just fuck.
In case you had any doubts that this didn't take place in the 90s. All the dolphins are named after the Friends characters. Jesus.
I know. I started getting really upset because, not to, get into the whole, cetaceans in captivity argument, which let them go, but...
I made a note about that, too.
Yeah, they don't do well in captivity, and the likelihood is one of the friends is going to die in the next year.
Oh.
So, why, this is just cruel. Who's going to die first? It's probably Rachel. Probably Chandler. Damn it. And then Joey, of course, steals all the food.
I mean... Joey's setting himself up for success there, I guess.
Joey knows what's up. He's the only one that went on to have his own series.
Oh, yeah, he did, didn't he?
He did. He's the only dolphin that's gonna live.
Oh, my God.
And even Marco's kind of pumped about the dolphins, which I thought was cute, so I mentioned it.
Yeah. Although, okay.
Yeah?
Marco makes a bunch of comments about how dolphins are fish.
Oh my God, so
Cassie
many.
does not once correct him.
Not even one. I mean, come on,
and
guys.
I'm like,
even in Free Willy, immediate correction on that.
Also, Cassie feels the need to specify that medicine are called meds, but she will not tell Marco that dolphins are mammals. What the fuck?
Cassie's priorities are... I can just hear, desk shuffling over there, you're hitting something real hard.
I kept waiting for it. I'm like, okay, just tell them they're mammals. They're not fish. They're Cassie,
right?
What are you doing?
Oh, my God. As somebody who obsessively watched Free Willy, it hurt me deeply that she did not mention that they were mammals. Deeply, deep hurt. But, Cassie maybe, remember, this is a Valentine's Day episode, so I'm trying to love Cassie. Maybe Cassie thought that because this book was published in the 90s, we all watched Free Willy obsessively like me, and we all knew that, and we all got mad at Marco, so her saying it would just exacerbate the problem instead of making us just move along.
But K.A. Applegate is all about making 90s references, and that would have been such an easy one.
Oh my
God,
God,
been like,
right?
She would have been like, Marco, they're not fish. Haven't you seen Free Willy? That's all you had to fucking say. It's one sentence.
She would have been like, don't you know about Keiko? He's the whale that plays Free Willy. Well, Willy, but, whatever. Oh my God, this hurt me.
I'm sorry, I flew into a rage.
As you should.
Good.
You absolutely should. And also, I feel like Marco might already know that they're mammals and just be really antagonizing us.
He's just, trolling.
What if Marco through this entire book series is just a troll from the 90s? Like, and the longer
like
we
he just
read,
knows all this shit, and he's just like, oh god,
oh, Marco's got it going on.
oh god,
oh my god! And then, like, honestly, the next part is more offensive to me, which is, they get the dolphin morphs. They have, they have a good time. They go home. They have their secret phone call where Jake calls Cassie and says, oh, you know how we're going to the beach today? I think it's going to be crowded, so we're going to go further up the river. And Cassie's, like, explaining it to us like we couldn't crack that code. So she... Damn it, I'm being mean again. Ugh. Okay, bringing it in. I'm zen.
Up in here.
I'm zen. It's back. As I point to the next scene, which pisses me off, where Cassie morphs first, and she goes through the normal description of it's gross, blah, 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 I'm morphing my feet last, and blah, blah, blah. And when she completes the morph, she goes, I was really glad I didn't find a sentient creature in there. Yep. Yep.
Oh.
Yup.
Oh.
Yeah. Cassie.
Okay.
Okay. So, they all go swimming out in the water. Also, I believe, K.A. Applegate wrote as a flock of dolphins. It is a pod.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. I think she wrote school too at some point, and I'm like,
a pod.
School. You know what school is for? Describing
Losers?
a group of fish. A group of fish.
We went
but
two
apparently
different
dolphins
directions.
are fish because you didn't bother to specify otherwise.
Right.
Ah!
I see. This is why I told you I was trying to come in zen. This is my loving Cassie episode. I'm doing my best to love Cassie, and your reaction is what I feel deep in my heart.
No, I'm acting out. I'm acting out your true feelings.
You are,
Alex.
Yeah.
What if K.A. Applegate ever finds this? And we're just like tearing apart K.A. Applegate's decisions. Oh god.
Well, if she does find this, I hope she starts, so far, like, based on what we've already recorded, I hope she starts at episode 3, because it was a freaking love fest in that episode. We were all over Tobias. We had tears in our eyes.
Yeah.
Let's just, maybe how K.A. Applegate listens to podcasts. Okay, clearly I'm making up my own canon right now. So we're just going to roll with it. I hope when K.A. Applegate listens to podcasts, she just starts with the Cassie episodes and based off of people's reactions to Cassie decides if she's a fan or not. Like, this was my worst character. No shit, I can't say that. This was my most peaceful, loving, hippy-dippy character. And I just want to know that people reacted to her in a way that was positive before I invest myself in their podcasts.
Maybe.
Canon. Write it into the wiki page. Go to K.A. Applegate's wiki page. Put that in there.
Jeez.
It's all just user content. There's no fact checking, I'm sure. They can cite us, too, as their source. Cite us on the wiki page. Someone change that. All right.
So.
Back to our pod.
School of dolphins.
To our
Sorry,
flock of
like the troll.
dolphins. What if a flock of dolphins? That would have been a cool band name rather than flock of seagulls.
Yeah.
I would be that band.
Because
Band
people
name.
would be like, what?
Flock
of dolphins? That makes no sense.
If you read Animorphs, it does.
Well, actually.
Well, actually, page 28 of book 4 of the Animorphs. Anyways, so they all morph dolphin. And they go swimming out into the ocean, and they are, like, living it up.
They're having a great fucking time.
They're having a great time. They're dancing with the ocean itself. Like, sharks swim, fish swim, dolphins own the water. I mean, that's a quote from the book. I didn't make that up. Yeah, they are having a fantastic time. And my favorite part is when, like, Jake, who so very rarely breaks that facade of being a leader, is like, guys, like, when we jumped, let's do it at the same time. And they're all like, oh my god, yes.
I loved that.
It was so funny. And so they synchronize, jump in the air. And that's when Tobias is like, I know you don't think the dolphin brain has affected you, but actually it has.
You've been dicking around for 45 minutes.
You've been dicking around for 45 minutes. And that's when Cassie goes, 45 minutes? What are minutes? Who gives a shit about minutes? And then, Cassie would give a shit about minutes if she stopped and thought about it, as the Nothlit above them tells them. Anyways, their fantastic moment of excitement ends as they learn that they have echolocation. They start to test it out. And that's when they see ahead of them sharks. And that scares them. So they immediately stop being excitable and realize that the sharks are eating a great one, a.k.a. a whale. A humpback whale. They're eating his face.
My baby.
Yeah, our babies. And so they immediately go into action mode and start ramming the sharks.
Any ideas as to what species of shark this may be? Because I was under the impression that most sharks were very solitary.
Okay, so yeah, that's true, but they do come together for feeding frenzies. It is usually not on a live whale, though. It's most of the time when a whale has died, you will see hundreds and hundreds of sharks on this thing. Maybe not hundreds, but like a shit ton of sharks, maybe 100, eating this thing. And they also have like giant orgies then, too.
Oh, I mean, why not?
It's crazy. I was so excited when I watched that documentary. So, yeah, I mean...
this makes it sound like they're ganging up on
it makes it sound like
whale
they're
the way
hunting.
that wolves ganging up on a caribou.
It's like they're hunting like a school.
Yeah. It's a shiver of sharks, actually.
A shiver.
That much I remembered.
I almost said a pack of sharks, but I didn't. I almost did, though. Yeah, this made it sound like they were ganging up on him on purpose, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, not really.
Whatever.
And then it also, the dolphins are fighting off the sharks, and that's when Cassie goes, we could have died. And it's like, Cassie, you're 4 books deep now. You could have died in any of the books. Why is this just occurring to you? And this leads to, major plot point. Marco gets bitten in half.
Which I don't understand how that works. Okay, so...
It does not physically work.
So. And Cassie, as a dolphin, rammed one of the sharks and made him start bleeding internally and then externally subsequently. And then the only reason they get away unscathed is because that shark swam away and the other sharks smelled the blood, followed him, and started eating him. Meanwhile, Marco's over here with his tail bitten off. And I'm like, okay, there's got to be blood here. Why didn't they attack Marco?
Oh, yeah, they talk about the clouds of blood billowing out of his tail.
Why did they get for the other shark who was, bleeding just a little bit, and Marco's, gushing blood, and they're like, fuck that guy. And
it's not even they couldn't smell it. They can smell, what is it, 1 part per million in, a 2-mile square radius or something. They can sense an insane amount of blood. So, they know that he's bleeding for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like this is just more misunderstandings of oceanic creatures.
And a shark that's maybe bleeding a little bit out of the gills versus a dolphin that's gushing a ton of blood and is injured to the point of not being able to swim away. Who do you think they're gonna attack?
The dolphin.
Sorry. Yeah.
Lena needed to put her 2 cents in.
Thank you, Kitty.
She knows.
Anyway.
She's reacting how upset we are.
I was a little annoyed about that. I was like, okay, Marco would be dead if the sharks decided to, whatever.
Yeah, but it serves the plot.
Yeah. Suspend disbelief for the sake of the narrative.
Yeah, I'm trying.
So, but, on the flip side, so Marco's sitting there with his tail broken off and everyone's like, oh shit, he can't swim back to shore. What are we going to do?
And they all look at Cassie. They're like, you're the animal expert. Like she would have worked with dolphins.
Right.
Jeez. And also, I hate to be the real downer here. If a dolphin or any animal comes to me in that bad of a condition, they're getting put down.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
It's a quality of life thing at that point.
Can't... Oh, what if this is a crossover with a dolphin tail and then Marco ends up talking to Morgan Freeman? New movie, guys.
There you go.
The Dolphin Cast.
Don't bite me.
Sorry, I had to.
No.
I'm into that. So anyways, this leads to kind of a major plot point because this is one of the Animorphs' greatest saves of all time. Cassie goes, morph. And they're like, he can't swim, he'll drown. He's a child. And Cassie's like, you will return to your DNA, and then if you come back to a dolphin, you will come back a perfect dolphin. And they're like, what if you're wrong? And Cassie's like, well, he's fucking dying either way, so maybe, like, give it a shot. God. And as it turns out, Cassie's hypothesis on DNA was correct. And he comes back to so perfect a form. So that's pretty exciting. And that's what they use a lot in battle going forward. Like, so often they'll be injured in these insanely horrific ways. And they're like, well, just hold on till we can get somewhere private and we'll morph out of it. That's all we can do.
Which, if you remember from, like, episode 1, I had that question. Like, what happens if you get injured and a morph? Do you retain that injury? And this has subsequently answered that question.
Did I answer that question?
I mean, we also answered that question ourselves. Cause
okay,
it's like,
good.
yeah, because that's not how DNA works, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like we said, if I were to morph into my 3-legged cat, I would actually be a 4-legged cat because in her DNA, she had 4 legs.
Yep.
Etc. Oh, also my favorite part in the book was when the whale that they saved just, like, came over and started, like, singing its gratitude to them, and I am not gonna lie, I actually teared up a little bit reading that, because I fucking love whales, and I know how magical they are, and oh my god,
They are magical.
I have a lot of emotions about whales. Okay,
we both do. So the whale comes up under them and saves Marco. So Marco doesn't have to immediately morph dolphin, because remember, double morphs are still really kind of not in the picture yet. So the whale takes them on a little bit of a ride and then brings them back, and right kind of before they left, the whale communes with Cassie, and in some mystical dolphin whale way, he tells them that they're new to the ocean because they're not little ones or dolphins. They're some sort of mix, but they're not the only thing that's new to the ocean. And he basically just gives her the coordinates of the crashed Andalite ship in whale talk. So that happens, and then they go home. The end. Just kidding. Cassie goes over to Marco's house, and Marco is very pissed because he does not like people encroaching on his space. He doesn't like people knowing how he lives. And I wrote in here, I always picture Marco's dad like Belle from Beauty and the Beast's dad in the cartoon.
Oh, really? Like Maurice?
Yeah, Maurice. Just like a
crazy old
friggin'
Maurice.
hot mess. Like Maurice, but always wearing underwear and an open bathrobe.
Aww.
That's what I picture. So, the human version of that. So Cassie kind of like goes over there and is like, sorry for getting you killed, almost. And Marco's like, it's fine. Leave. And she's like,
Get out
no,
of my house.
I just really want to talk to you about how you almost got killed. And he's like, cool. Get out.
Oh god, I was just like, read the room, Cassie.
Seriously.
Oh.
He's sending out some vibes, girl. You gotta pick up on it.
Mm.
And then they meet we'll gloss over that because it's not really that important. Marco forgives her, and then points out something about how, like, you know, he's upset, but like he gets where Cassie's coming from, blah, blah, blah. She doesn't like having responsibility, blah, blah, blah. They're all forgiven. Yay, they meet in the barn the next day. And that's where they're having this fantastic meeting where they're going over the plan of what they're going to do. And then Jake says something like, and Cassie's going to go. She knows where the alien is because of the information given to her by the whale. And then they die laughing because that's insane. And even they know it. So
yeah, it's one of those, like, this is our situation. It's so ridiculous that we can't do anything but laugh about this.
Right? And they're correct. You can't do anything but laugh. So their new plan, because it's so far out into the ocean, they can't swim there without hitting their 2-hour time limit. So they're going to catch a ship and go get the ship out into the middle of the ocean and just dive it and hope it works.
Yep, so they morph seagulls and fly out to the ship, which is presumably like a
It's like a cargo ship, I think is what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So the cargo ship is going out there, and they're hiding between the giant crates, which I assume are just the shipping containers there. And they're like, wow, it's cold. And Marco once again says, we should have uniforms like the X-Men. And somebody please, for the love of God. He points out Cassie. He's like, Cassie, you're the best morpher. Get some jackets up in this bitch. And
figure out how to morph shoes and jackets, please.
Please, I beg of you. So, that's when Jake throws down some serious math skills. He says, we're probably going like 20 miles an hour. So, like, in an hour, we'll be about 20 miles out and we can jump in. Perfect. And Rachel's like, dope. That's some great math. You did it right. And then Tobias is like, actually, you're going about 18 miles an hour. And they're all like, how does this bird know? So that's pretty legit. And he says he likes to race cars and look at their speedometers.
I mean, what else is he gonna do?
Birds gotta have a hobby, man. Just like everyone else.
Yeah.
So they go about 18 miles out into the ocean based on their 18 mile an hour thing. And you know what? There's a later book. This is a little bit of a spoiler, but really not important. There's a later book where Jake totally correctly calculates knots to miles per hour because they're on a boat again. And he just, like, throws down that math. But maybe he felt so embarrassed at this moment, and he's like, oh, God, if we ever go on a mission on a boat again, I better know.
Yeah, he, like, took a moment to, like, rectify
He Googled it. He spent 3 hours Googling it because, of course, he had to dial up using the phone cord. And, like, watch the results load of, like, the chart from, like, knots to miles per hour.
Oh. AOL.
AOL. You've got mail.
Goodbye.
So, after that very important segue.
Yep.
Marco doesn't know how to swim, apparently. So
well, we learned that in earlier when he was morphing back from a dolphin into a human.
I mean, that's true, but also they just how?
Because he was like, I don't want to drown like my mom.
His mom. Never mind, I can't tell you that.
Oh.
Anyways,
Oh.
So because Marco can't swim, they need to dump him overboard. And Rachel says something like, you know that when he's a dolphin, he's going to weigh like 400 pounds, right? It's like closer to 800. I'm relatively sure. If it's a bottlenose dolphin we're talking about here, I'm pretty sure we're clocking in closer to 800.
Hooray.
Yeah, so they to get him overboard, they have him lean up against the railing, start morphing, and then when he's mostly dolphin, they tip him in. I mean, it works. And then they jump in, and my favorite Rachel moment here, she jumps up on the railing and beautifully swan dives into the ocean.
Here's my question, though. How... I need to look this up. How deep is that jump? Like, how long is that jump?
Oh, like
because
100 feet.
I think it's far enough that you have to know how to land in the water, or else you will fucking break all your bones. Like, that was my initial reaction.
But when I was a child, they let me jump off, like, the side of the rock cliff face into the water, and I didn't, like, break anything. Except maybe my brain.
I don't know.
It turned out okay.
That's why I was asking, like, what kind of ship it is, if it's a cargo ship. Like, because those fuckers are pretty big.
Oh, they're huge. It would hurt, for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. Just one of those moments where I'm like, again, mansplaining. Calling bullshit.
Let's look it up. Add it to our list of things we have to look up.
All right. Next episode, audience, we'll answer all your questions. All your burning questions.
All your burning questions that we asked and we assume that you also asked and wrote in about.
Or you will have looked up these questions yourselves and are sending them in to us.
Which you can do.
And save us some time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we'll even give out our email at the end of this episode.
Yay!
Yay!
We have an email.
We do have an email. All
anyway.
Right. So, as they jump in, they kind of... Cassie, like, has an idea of where they are based off of the whale's directions. And so she starts leading them to the right place. And she kind of tries to explain, like, oh, it has to do with depth and temperature and currents. And you know what? At the end of the day, I can't really explain it. It's just right. So we're like, all right, it's magic. And we're like, all right, cool. And they as they're kind of getting to where they're going, there's a helicopter coming with a sensor that's trolling in the water. So they're like, well, controllers have followed us out here. And that's great. And that kind of panics them. And so they take a deep breath and they dive. And they're like racing to get to the dome ship. And right as they're getting to the point where they're like, we should surface again, we're running out of oxygen, they see the dome ship. And it's beautiful. It's an asparagus spear tree. It's like crazy colors. It's a giant dome that's like with this huge field in it. So they're like, all right, let's get in there. They go around to the hatch. They see a panel. They hit it. It opens. They go in there, drain it of the water, and demorph. And they're in. So they're like, let's get into this thing because the Andalites are our allies. They open the door. Jake's the one that hits the panel. And next thing you know, bam, 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 they are all unconscious. Because Andalites aren't idiots. Cassie's the first one that kind of comes to. And
she's the best at recovering from fainting.
Oh, that's right. Maybe this is like her ability to morph. She's also really good at recovering from fainting. It's her special talent.
I need that.
Me too. So she's the first one that kind of wakes up, and she's immediately threatened. And she was told that she was stunned, but if she continues to move, then she will be destroyed, and has a Draken beam-like gun being pointed at her. Marco wakes up, and because he's a smart-ass, he goes, oh god, please tell me this is a regular Andalite, not Visor 3. And the Andalite flips his shit, gets his tail blade within an inch of his face, and is like, don't you ever say that name around here.
He who must not be named.
He who must not be named.
I mean,
I love it.
It's happening.
It's true. And then Cassie goes, we are friends. Like, some fucking, like, chick in the 90s, like, on X-Files, when they come down and, like, gives them, like, the Vulcan hand salute, and is like, we are allies, not enemies. And because this isn't, like, a terrible alien cartoon, this is an intelligent Andalite, he's like, who the fuck are you? We're not friends. We've never met. Like, come on. And then Cassie goes, but you rang? Word for word what happened. No, he's like, you got my mind signal. And she's like, yeah. And he's like, those were only for my cousins, which we assume are the other Andalites. And he's like, you never should have been able to hear the call. And it really, only Andalites should have been able to. And they said, well, the only other Andalite we know died. And Axe goes, who? And Cassie's like, I don't know his full name, but it was Prince Elfangor. Oh, shit, I gave his name away. Whatever. So they basically go over with the Andalite, what happened, how they're fighting the Yeerks, how the morphing power was given to them. Basically everything that we know and have been reading about for 3.5 books now. And then Axe kind of gives his side, which is not good for their children. Like, he's like, remember, the Animorphs at this point are like, the Andalites are coming to save us. We are the ancillary force until they get here. And we are fighting, but we are just holding. We are in a holding pattern. We're trying to expose them. We're trying to help, but we're not the main fighting force. And they say to Axe, when are the Andalites going to get here? He said 2 to 3 years. And they are like, what? Excuse me. 2 to 3 years. And, yeah, they are not happy. Because that is fucking bullshit. God. And Axe gives the other part of it, which is the dome was separated in orbit. And he's alone and he's desperate because he, too, is a child. He was not old enough to fight by his people's laws. So he was detached and sent into Earth's atmosphere and crashed and watched the other parts of the ships get destroyed. And a lot of the fighters were destroyed as well. So he's alone. He's calling out. He's a child. And then he asks, why are they here? Why are they here with him? And Jake said, well, our plan was to save you. And that's when he's like, oh, well, we're cool then. And we find out that his name is Aximili Escaroth Isthil. Yay!
And Marco's like, I can't possibly pronounce that. We're just gonna call you Axe.
Yep. And then he immediately swears fealty to Jake until he can get back to his people.
I forgot about that. I forgot he calls him Prince Jake, and oh god, that's adorable.
Oh my god, and it leads to my favorite dialogue, which is the always, don't call me Prince. Yes, Prince Jake. That's even better than Marco driving as a running joke. I love it. Oh god.
Oh, and also during this conversation, Axe tells them a little more about the Yeerks, and he tells them that not only do they take over species, but they also annihilate any other species that they don't need. Mm-hmm. And Cassie, the animal lover, is like, well, what? Like, I didn't know that. Like, I didn't know they're gonna kill, like, all the animals on the Earth once they've enslaved all the humans. And I think in that moment, that's kind of her reason to fight.
Exactly what I wrote down.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree. That's her call to action.
Yep.
She knows.
She knows. Save the whales, save the animals.
Save the whales and the trees and the dogs.
And the bees.
And the bees.
And the dogs.
And the dogs. Yep. So Cassie gets her reason to fight, because if she doesn't, then the entire world and everything in it is going to be razed and killed.
Yep.
And this is also when we get our sixth member of the Animorphs. Our alienist member of them all. And he is apparently pretty cute, according to Rachel. I'm not really sure how she worked that out, but she did. So, and there's this awesome moment here, too, where Jake just starts freaking out because, you know, they're years away. It's all of them. And Jake goes, it's 5 kids against the world. And Axe goes, 6. And it just, I love it how he's like so immediately like, I'm fighting alongside you, and then it turns out he's like the most junior member.
I know.
So they start asking more questions about the Yeerks, and Axe has this mysterious moment where he just has to stop, and he goes, I can't tell you anymore, I'm sorry, it's forbidden by my people.
I signed an NDA. I can't say
I can't. And this is like, I was gonna say, this is like earlier in the episode when you're like, I keep leading you into these situations where you can't answer. I was going to say, I'm just like Axe. I just can't tell you. So.
Perfect.
I feel you, man. I feel you, bro.
I feel you.
And then Axe, when he says he's forbidden to tell them, Rachel kind of loses it. She gets mad. Unsurprisingly, Rachel gets mad. She's like, how can... First of all, why didn't you stop them? You're supposed to be the greatest force in the galaxy. You have this huge fleet under your command. You're the heroes. Why are the Yeerks here? Why couldn't you stop them? And Axe doesn't. He's offended because he doesn't know, but they're his people. And how dare she? And then Axe asks, "Don't you know whom you're fighting?" And Cassie goes, "Yep, I know now." It's kind of like it's more flowing, obviously, in the book, but those are like the main plot points of like, it becomes a battle too for the next few books where the kids want to know as much as they can possibly know. They want to know who they're fighting and why and what the weaknesses are and anything. And Axe keeps like, I can't tell you. And it kind of causes a lot of friction. So this is like understandably, this is the like very short part of like the friction, like they're kind of explaining why that friction exists in a very short burst. But we're interrupted because we have to get out of there because there's sonar pinging them and a submarine. And they realize the Yeerks are here. They found the ship and we need to go. So they all cram into the hatch and they start morphing. They ask Axe, do you have a morph that can swim? And he goes, yeah, I got a creature from Earth that can swim, so I can do it. And they don't know what it is until they start morphing.
I was hoping it would be a whale, and he would just like take up all the space in the hatch and just like squish him up against the walls and shit.
That would be so amazing.
Oh
my god! But no, it's a shark. He turns into a shark, and they all get mad. A shark.
Yeah, they're all like,
a hammerhead shark, I believe.
Cute.
So he turns into a hammerhead shark, and they're all mad, and they're like, Axe, how could you do this to us? And he's like, I don't even know what this is. So they get out of there and start swimming away. The dome ship gets blown up behind them, and they're being chased. And I think it's Axe says, what does he have? Like, what forces does he have? And Jake goes, oh, Hork-Bajir. And Axe is like, oh, thank God, those can't really swim well. And Jake goes, oh, right, and Taxons. He has Taxons too. And Axe is like, what? And so Taxons drop into the water and are coming after them. It turns out they're very good swimmers, and that is because the way that Taxons move a lot of the time is they just eat and expel. So it's kind of like they can gulp down water and expel it and propel. So
are they pooping water? Like,
yes.
perpetually?
Yep. Perpetually
nice.
pooping water. Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Just for a little taxonomy.
I like it.
So
that's another podcast.
Yeah, where we can just talk about different assets and features of Taxons.
Perfect.
I like it.
Cool.
Another podcast idea. Write it down. It's ours. Don't take it. Copyright us. 2018. Valentine's Day. It's us. So anyways, they start fighting the Taxons. They are able to take a lot of them out. It's described as hitting a wet papered bag with a sledgehammer. And,
so gross.
Oh, I know, right? And they're all mucusy. And the Taxons just start exploding, and they're eating each other. And then the next thing we know, the blade ship is overhead, and we hear a huge splash, which is never good. Then they are suddenly being chased by something called a Mardrut. Mardrut?
Something like that.
Mardrut. Mardrut. And
my favorite line in the book was they're like, what's that? And Axe tells him what it is. And then Axe is like, I heard it once in school, but I wasn't paying attention.
Axe's favorite line. I wasn't paying attention. So it's coming behind them, and the reason it makes this distinctive sound and that they point it out is because it has 3 like swim bladders basically, and it sucks in air or sucks in water and then shoots it out in these blasts, so it just makes this whoop 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 sound as it's chasing them. And that means it also can never tire because it's not using muscles really, it's just shooting out water, so it can chase them for a really long time.
And it does.
They are running and swimming, but they're going as fast as they can, being chased by Visitor 3, because they don't even bother trying to turn around and fight this thing. It'll, like, who knows, shoot fireballs or some shit. I mean, he's dramatic. And Axe is having some moments because he was training with his people to be a warrior, but he was too young to be a warrior, and he's never been in a real battle before. So this is his first time, and he's running for his life, and he's going, how did they get this morph from my homeworld? Which always kind of ticked me off, because I'm like, Axe, he has an Andalite host body. He probably already had it. Come on.
Yeah.
But he's getting upset about that, and Visitor 3 is antagonizing them, and he's terrified, and like they're just like, Axe, hold it together. This is fine. We've been in these situations before.
This is just a walk around the park for us.
Walk around the park for us.
Walk it off.
So he's panicking, but as they're running, Visitor 3 starts catching up to them, and Axe's panic starts catching. Because they're not getting away. They are not going fast enough. And they're in trouble. So they go as far as they can. They're exhausted. And they realize it's time to turn and fight. And this is going to be the end. But they're going to go out with a fight. And they're going to do their best. And
is
Cassie,
it like this for every book?
Yeah, pretty much. So, not all of them. Sometimes there's a victory, but it's usually very hollow.
And it's usually after they're like, oh, we're gonna die.
Yeah, there's a lot of dying.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I hate to break it to you.
No.
But, Cassie realizes that she's remembering hearing the whale, and she's imagining the whale, and she's like, oh shit, I'm not imagining it, there's a whale! So she kind of sends out a call for help, calls to the whale, and then turns around and is like, all right, we're gonna die. And then they all get eaten, and that's the end of the book. Sorry, just kidding. What ends up happening is right as they're turning to fight, they start charging Visitor 3, and then whales come up and grab him from underneath. These sperm whales, like, take him out. And there's, I think, 2 sperm whales, and there's the male humpback, that's her whale, and then there's 2 female humpbacks.
Yep.
So they all join forces, and the sperm whales, like, take him out from below and bite him. The humpback whacks him with his tail, and they end up schooling Visser 3. The whales do, not the Animorphs, obviously. And the whales save them. And Cassie has this magical, magical moment with the whales. She starts talking about how great they are. And they believe what happens then, they all get a ride home on its back.
Yeah. First of all, fuck you kids. I'm really jealous. I want to ride a whale.
I know, right?
Second of all, they fall asleep on top of the whale's back as it's swimming them back. And I'm like, okay, was it swimming subsurface like the whole way? Because whales usually come up for air a little bit and then they dive.
Right.
For a couple minutes, then come up for air again, then dive. They don't just like fucking
Nope, they don't
swim parallel to the water the whole time with their blowholes above. Oops, shit. Yep. Sorry, I just knocked my mic. Yeah, they don't swim with their blowholes above the water all the time. Like,
right.
So I'm calling bullshit on that, but
Total
I'm also
bullshit.
really jealous. I want to ride a whale.
Me too. Oh my god. Fuck. And also, when whales do log at the surface, like in captivity, that's terrible for their skin. I mean, this is really temporary, so it wouldn't have done anything, but just saying. Well,
they were a decent ways off of shore, though, right?
Yeah, they were. Because they were 20 miles out, about.
Also, did it say how they got from where the whale dropped them off to the shore?
I believe they morphed back into dolphins and shark, and went back up the river the same way they came in. Because it doesn't mention specifically that, but I believe it mentions them turning back into dolphins, and it mentions when they get there, they're exhausted, and they find the hiding spot of their shoes and pants and everything.
Okay.
And they're back there with Axe, and that's when Tobias is there, and Tobias meets Axe, and they kind of start to have this moment. Like, I was with your brother when he died, and Jake's like, yeah, okay, enough of that. Back to business. What up? How are we going to get you home, Axe? And,
Mom, can I keep him?
Yeah! Let him live in the house! Oh, there's a great line in one of the last books. Sorry. Anyways, so what happens next is that Axe starts acquiring them one by one. And at first she acquires Cassie, and they're like, what, you're just going to morph Cassie? What the hell? And then he gently strokes Marco's face and acquires Marco. And then he acquires...
That's my ship.
Yeah, Axe and Marco. That's your ship.
No. But, yeah.
It's pretty popular.
Is it?
Uh-huh. It is.
Again, I don't feel comfortable shipping any of them because they're 12, but...
I don't feel comfortable with any of this. So he acquires them all and creates a mixed morph that looks like all of them and is always described as a creepily beautiful man. And they ask him, what are you morphing, male or female? And he starts talking, and some of the best lines now are Axe talking when he plays with sounds, and he tries to tell them that he is a male, and he's like making these crazy mouth like blah 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 noises. And so he's like, I am a male, so I will be a male. And they're like, here, put these clothes on. And he puts the shirt on his pants, and then he puts the shorts on his head. And he was like, I undressed.
Oh my god.
I love it so much.
I already have a favorite character.
I know. He becomes a favorite so quickly. I adore Axe so much.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god. I love
him.
But
it's really interesting how you acquired all 4 of them and then morphed into a beautiful amalgam of all of them. I'm like, can you do that with other animals? Can you, like, take, like, a fox and a wolf and then morph into, like, a fox wolf? Like, what?
Nope. That's be the same species.
Wait. It's because of species. Mm-hmm. You're right. That's obvious. But can you take, I don't know, like, a black wolf and a white wolf that are the same species and make it... Okay.
Yep.
I'm just trying to understand the rules here.
You can. Well, yeah, they get Axe home. And this is where
he goes and lives in Cassie's barn.
He goes and he lives in Cassie's barn. No, he actually lives in the forest with after a while. I think he goes to Cassie's barn first, but then he ends up living in the forest.
Okay.
And they have this kind of very stunted conversation, Cassie and Jake do, about how it's okay that they morph the whales because the whales, I guess, almost gave them permission or would give them permission to morph them to save the world.
You mean the dolphins?
I think she said it was the whales, though, in the conversation. Like, when she had that connection with the whale on the way home, that's when she realized it. Mm-hmm. But they don't feel bad about morphing, like, whales and dolphins and every other animal now to use because it's Mother Earth fighting back, basically.
Sure.
You know, hippy-dippy.
Hippie shit.
Hippie shit. Which is, you know, I'm glad that they had that conversation. I like that Cassie's on board with using animals to fight now. Mm-hmm. Because we, like Cassie, we're being nice to her because it's Valentine's Day. And then Cassie ruins it at the end by being a complete idiot, breaking into the dolphin tank, and playing with the dolphins.
Yeah, and she fly in as a seagull to get in there? Because as she makes to say, they would have tried to stop me normally. And I'm like, would they have? Because you fucking show up whenever you want, bring all your friends, and go play with the animals. Like, would they have tried to stop you?
Probably not.
Calling bullshit on that.
Total bullshit.
But yeah, she goes and swims in the dolphin tank.
Uh-huh. She does. And as anybody who knows anything about Tilikum would say, that's a bad idea. It was a weird situation. Don't do it. Don't swim with whales
boys and girls.
After hours. Or dolphins. I mean, technically, bottlenose dolphins are a whale, and orcas are actually the largest dolphin, but don't swim with whales or dolphins after hours.
Yeah, and maybe don't support whales and dolphins in captivity.
Yeah, no, don't do that. Please don't do that.
Yeah.
It's not nice. They're highly intelligent, as we find out in this Animorphs book, and it's not fair to keep them in captivity.
Yep.
Woohoo! That's our PSA!
Yay!
Happy Valentine's Day!
Yay! Love the whales.
Love the whales and the dolphins and the porpoises. I wanted to say I said that on porpoise. But I won't.
You are officially banned.
Oh no. From this podcast.
Oh god. We love you, audience. That's why we're making terrible puns.
We love you so much.
Oh,
Will
God.
you be our Valentine?
Yes.
All of you.
Oh god.
I will send
we'll
you
understand
a
if you
tiny
say no.
card. I won't understand. I'll throw a fit. I will cry. A little.
Oh, God. Just a little.
All right. Oh, email, as promised. If you want to accept my invitation of being my Valentine, it is anonymousanimorphs@gmail.com. I know we're Animorphs Anonymous, but apparently somebody, probably the Yerks, already took that email. So we had to be anonymousanimorphs@gmail.
I hope we get an email from whoever took that name.
I hope so too.
Like, it was me, I'm sorry.
No, I hope we get an email from them and it's like, please join the Sharing. We're a wonderful community organization.
Oh my god.
I will be your Valentine. We all will at the Sharing.
We do not have UFOs here.
No, you don't believe in UFOs, do you? Oh my god. Alright, let's get out of here before our 2-hour timeline is really up.
Alrighty. See you next time, audience.
See you next time for Marco.
Woohoo, Marco.
Bye.
Bye.